Hello, my music-loving friends. For this craft, you are going to need paper. You can use all white paper if that's what you got. If you have any sort of construction paper or fun fancy paper, you might want to use some of that also. So have both of those on hand. You will need scissors. You will need markers for decorating, and I've just chosen these colors. Whatever colors you have or whichever colors you prefer, you can use those. And I have one black marker so that when I just want to write words or something, I have something just nice and dark to write with. You are also going to need some glue. All right, now if you've ever made a fortune teller or cootie catcher, then the first part of this video is going to look really familiar to you. But stay tuned because I have figured out how to put an additional secret pocket into the fortune teller so we can put a little bit more information in there. So let me clear my space off, put all my supplies off to the side, and then I'm going to talk you through how to make a fortune teller. So we take our piece of paper and we start with it portrait. So this is portrait. And this is landscape. We are starting portrait. And then we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it from the top right corner down. I suppose if you're left-handed, you could do it the other way. The important part is to fold it from the corner straight down so that then this edge lines up with the other edge behind it. And then we're going to crease that nice and hard. Now, because I like to have my creases really firm, I'm going to use the handle of my scissors to press that crease down. There we go. Now once I have this like this, I actually want to get rid of this piece. Now some of y'all know a little shortcut that involves folding it and maybe licking the edge of it and ripping it off. But again, I like a really neat line. So I am going to use my scissors for that. So I'm cutting right along the edge. And then I'm going to set that little piece aside. That's a little piece of scratch paper for you. We won't need that for the rest of this craft. Okay, and now I have something that looks like this. So now I take that and turn it so I can fold it in this direction. And again, I'm going to use the handle of my scissors to make a really nice crease there. Oh man, I didn't line my corners up perfectly on top. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing. There is no such thing as perfection in crafting. All right, so now we have this awesome diamond with some lines on it, and those lines are gonna guide us in how to fold the other folds. So I like to start with the bottom. So I'm taking the bottom part of my diamond and folding it up so that this corner touches the intersection of those lines, the place where they all come together. And then I'm gonna crease that. And I'm gonna wait and do my hard creases all at the end, just so I don't have to keep picking up my scissors. And then I'm gonna turn it and I'm gonna fold the opposite corner. I like to do opposites. There we go. And then I'm gonna fold it again, this next corner, folding it up to the middle. And then I'm going to fold it again up from here. Okay. So now that I have all of those folds in place, I'm turning it over. And this is a good time to crease all of those lines nice and firmly. All right, so now I have something that looks like this. So now I actually want to do the same thing that I just did, but in reverse. So all of the little folds are facing down. I'm going to make it into a diamond again. And then I'm going to fold my corners up to that middle intersection again, just like I did before. Make a nice crease there, a nice crease there, and a nice crease there. If I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause this video and do it in your own time. That is the beauty of video, my friends. All right. So there, now I have that, and of course I want to make all of my creases nice and firm. So now I have this, and I want to flip it over so that I'm looking at what looks like 4 squares here. And to make it so that it's possible to use my fortune teller, I'm going to fold it in half this way, and I'm going to crease that center line. I'm going to use my scissors again to press it down, and then I'm going to open it up, turn it this way, fold it, and crease the other way. All right. So now we have this basic fortune teller, and let me show you how you open this up. You take it and you kind of hold it so you can see where the top opens up here, and then grab these corners and push together. You see how it opens up? And now all the corners are together, and then I grab it in one hand, and I find the little tabs at the bottom, and I open them up one at a time. Okay. And now I have my basic fortune teller. Okay, now here is where the top secret information comes in. We need to make another one of these. Now you have a couple of options at this point because we want our crafts to look pretty, don't we? So either you're going to use another piece of blank paper and eventually decorate, or if you happen to have some fancy paper, maybe you have some construction paper, or maybe you have something fancy like this, you're going to use some other kind of paper, if you have it, to make your next fortune teller. We're just going to make another one like we just did. If all you have is white paper, well, that just gives you the opportunity to do a bunch of drawing and stuff later. Okay, so let's make our next fortune teller the same way that we did before. So I'm setting this one aside. And then I'm folding, I'm putting it like this. I'm putting the interesting part down, actually. And then I'm folding from corner to corner. Strangely enough, my paper is square. My interesting paper is square. But if it weren't, I would have a little tab here, and I would cut, 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 cut. And then I make my hard crease. And then I open it up, turn it this way, fold it back again, make my crease, make it firm. And again, I know I'm going kind of fast because I don't want this video to be super long, but you can always pause it and do this at your own pace. Okay. Now I'm opening it up, and again, I'm looking at the white side right now. So it doesn't have a lot of decoration on the inside, but that's because I'm going to fold it up so that I can see the colorful side. So then I fold it this way. If you're using construction paper and both sides are colorful, that's also fine. That's not gonna make your craft not work or something. All right. So there we go. You know what? I started creasing every line with the scissors. Man, I'm gonna have to pick my scissors up a bunch of times here. All right. Okay, so now I've got my first set of folds down. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm turning it over, and I'm doing it again. Fold to the center, mash, mash, mash. Flip it, fold to the center, mash, mash, mash. Do that with all 4 of them. Make sure you pause the video if that was too fast. Okay, and now I want to mash all those with the scissors handle to make sure I have really solid creases. Ooh, you can see the sun coming in through my window now. That's nice. All right. So now, this is where the magic happens, my friends. So we actually don't need to fold this one up into the kind of cootie catcher format. We have our regular fortune teller, and we have our colorful one. And if you just made another one that's white, that's totally fine. You can decorate that in just a moment. You'll see where it's gonna go in your fortune teller in just a moment. Let's actually open this one back up. So I'm laying it flat, and then I'm gonna open up like one little tab of it for now. Now when I open this one, you can see there's a little triangle of folded paper here, and it's kind of the same size as that one, isn't it? So what I want to do is turn this, and you see where this line is right here, this fold line? I'm going to cut just above that. Watch your fingers while you're cutting. So I'm cutting that off of my other fortune teller, and then I'm going to turn it so that these little folds are facing up, because I want to be able to open it once it's glued down. And then that's going to get glued in to this tab right here. Okay, so I'm going to do that so you can see what that looks like. Okay, when you are, so I have my folds here, and here's the flat side with no cuts or folds in it. When you are gluing, you do not need a ton of glue, and if you use a ton of glue, your project's not going to look as good in the end. So I like to put just a little bit along the edges, and I even like to flatten that out with my finger. So it'll be nice and smooth when I put it down. Okay, so now I'm putting that right in here. And now my fortune teller has a secret pocket. Look at that. And it opens up. Oh, I mashed it a little too hard. A little bit of rearranging to be done. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to repeat that for all of these tabs. So I fold this one up. I take my creative looking one. Cut, cut, cut. Make sure I know where the fold is, because I want that to open. Flip that over. Add some glue to the edges. Smooth that out. And then stick it on to the other one. You notice that I'm opening up that fold when I mash it down. I just think it's easier to get it to mash down. Sometimes you have to be careful that you don't move it around too much. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just a craft. All right, so we do the other two. Open this up. Cut above the fold. Make sure I know where my opening is. Little bit of glue. There we go. Stick that one down. Okay. And then final side. I'm not cutting right on the fold for these. Remember, I'm trying to cut a little bit below the fold. And that one, actually, I cut a little bit too much on the fold. And so I'm trimming a little bit off because I think my project will look neater at the end. All right, finding my opening here. Putting a little bit of glue on. There we go. All right. And then sticking that one down. You do want to make sure with this one, because you're going to be folding it back up, that you haven't gotten any extra glue kind of around where you meant to, because you'll glue the whole thing shut. That won't work very well. So now I'm kind of checking to make sure that I didn't put glue where I don't want it. Okay. And now I have this awesome looking fortune teller. Now, if you did this with all white paper, then now is your time to do some decorating on these tabs. So you can see how mine looks, and I just used other like creative kind of paper. You could have used any kind of color paper you want or plain paper, but now would be the time to draw some pictures or do some coloring on those. This would be a good time to pause the video and do that if you're deciding to go that route. All right, so if you're watching this video, then you're a beginning piano student, and you might have noticed that my fortune teller has changed just a little bit. That polka dotted one was used for a violin video, but you get stripes here. All right, so in order to complete your fortune teller, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of writing. I will be using my black marker, but feel free to use whatever color you think will look interesting on yours. So the first thing we're going to do is actually fold it back up. So I'm kind of holding these tabs down and folding this in because I don't want everything to get all wonky when I fold it up. So I'm folding everything in, and then I'm putting it this way, kind of face down on the table and diamond shaped. So I kind of have 4 individual diamonds, and I will be writing on each of those. Now, the outside of your fortune teller is designed to help you spell words that are common for your instrument. So if you're playing piano, obviously we're going to spell piano first. So in this first diamond right here, we're going to write the word piano. It is spelled P-I-A-N-O. All right. And then some other words you'll probably need to know as a beginning piano player. The word keys, as in the keys on the piano, K-E-Y-S. And then, turn it again, and your feet get involved in playing the piano, don't they? Because you use the pedals, P-E-D-A-L-S. There's a very similar word, petals, like on a flower, but that's spelled differently. So make sure you spell this one with a D. And then finally, every beginning piano player needs to know where middle C is. So let's write that out. M-I-D-D-L-E. And then, of course, C. Middle C. Okay. So now we're going to turn it this way. We have all this blank space. And as I'm looking at this blank space, I am seeing that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces to write things in. Wow, that's a lot. Now, when you are first playing piano, you do a whole lot of reading quarter notes. And quarter notes look like this. It has the head and the stem on it, just like that. All right. And then we are going to write a different kind of notation in each little section here, okay? So you might also learn something called a half note. And a half note is an open circle with a stem on it, like that. Turning this like this. You might eventually learn how to play a 3-beat note, which looks a whole lot like a half note. It's an open circle and it's got a stem, but it also has a dot next to it. And then, of course, there is a whole note, and the whole note is 4 beats, and it's just one big circle. Now, as you get better, you might be playing faster and faster notes, right? So a fast kind of note is an 8th note. So 8th notes are drawn like this, where you have the head of the note and the stem going up, and now we have this thing called a beam connecting them. And 8th notes are always joined together by one beam like that. You can have more than 2 joined together. You can have 2 or 4 or, you know, a couple different variations on that, but it's always going to be that one beam connecting it. All right. And man, if you get really good, you might even play faster notes than that. And that would be 16th notes. So let's look at how those are drawn. Okay, Notice that I did not draw my note heads perfectly, but I'm not going to redo it because, again, it's a craft. It does not need to be perfect. So 16th notes will typically be joined in groups of 4, not always, but a lot of times. And in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 note heads. Each of them gets a stem, and we have 2 beams connecting them. All right, so now we're going to try some things where we put some of those values together. All right, so let's turn this again. Now, depending on how your teacher is teaching this to you, you can see you have 16th notes and 8th notes together. So your teacher might be teaching you to count 1 E and a 2 and, or your teacher might say good D, stop, stop, or pepperoni pizza, or Mississippi hot dog. There are lots of ways to think of that, but the rhythm goes fast, 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 less fast. All right, and then we're going to try one more little grouping here. Here, wow, this is an interesting one. Here they all have stems on them, and there's one line connecting this one, and these two have the 2 lines. So your teacher might be teaching this to you any number of ways. 1 and a 2 and a, or down pony, up pony, or grasshopper, grasshopper. That's a tricky one. Gotta memorize that one. All right, now this is where the secret pocket comes into play. So we're going to open this up. There is our secret pocket. Now, you know, as a musician, that music is written on the staff. And the staff is 5 lines. And when you are reading piano music in the very beginning, you have middle C as kind of the note that orients you with the piano. Okay, so we're just going to do right hand notes in this scenario. So we are going to draw a staff, and when we draw that staff, we're going to draw it close enough to the top of our fold that we have room to write the middle C underneath it. So kind of copy my spacing as much as you're copying the notes, all right? So staff has 5 lines like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, because you're a piano player, you read treble and bass clef. Wow, look at you go. So a treble clef, since that's what we're doing for this particular exercise, circles this second line in a little spiral. And then it goes up and around and makes a little candy cane. And then it goes down through your work and hooks back up. See how I drew that in there? Okay, you can draw that on every single one of these to practice, and that way they will look really snappy by the end. Now, when you draw middle C, it's so low that it actually needs an additional line. And for the bonus point, you can remember that that's called a ledger line. So we're going to draw an additional line, and we're going to circle it. I bet that looks familiar to you because, boy, when I was learning piano as a kid, that was one of the first notes that I learned. Now, the secret pocket is so that you have the answer written there so that you can have somebody quiz you or you can quiz somebody else and have the answer at your fingertips. So we're going to open the secret pocket. We're going to write the letter name for whatever note that is, and we know that that's a C. And just for this one, we're going to write that it's middle C. And I bet you know how to spell that because we already did that when we were doing the front of this. Oh no, I made an extra dot. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing, because it's a craft, and crafts do not have to be perfect. And close that back down. In my next little space, I'm going to draw my staff again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. And then I'm going to draw that treble clef again. I'm going to spiral around this line. I'm going to go up and make my candy cane. I'm going to come down and make a little fishing hook at the bottom. Now the next note up, I don't need any extra lines, but it's going to go on the bottom of the staff like a little wheel on the bottom of the staff here. And every time you go up a line or a space, you know you're going up to the next letter in the alphabet. So this is a D. Better write that in the secret pocket. Rotate. Let's draw a staff. How many lines does that have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gotta put a treble clef. I suppose if you're really a go-getter, you could make your own with bass clef notes. Oh my goodness. Oh man, my treble clef is disconnected. There we go. We did C and D. The next letter in the alphabet is E. That means I go up to the next line. There it is. Look how the line's going right through it. Open the secret tab, put the answer, close the tab. Let's do the next one. We just did E. Must be time for F. Let's draw our lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is on a line. Next note must be a space. So there's the F. Oh my goodness, I forgot my treble clef. I better add it in. All right, so there's my F. Put the answer in the secret pocket. And then hide it. All right, close that up. Go to the next one. I need my staff. Got to draw my 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last time I forgot my treble clef. I better do that one. That one's better. All right. So now I've done C, D, E, F. It's time for G. G circles that second line up from the bottom, putting the answer in the secret tab. Now, if I were just following regular alphabet rules, the next note would be H. But I bet you know that it's not H. We only use A through G in music. So the next note is going to be an A. Here we go. Let's draw our staff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the A is 1 space up. There it is. Better draw my treble clef in. All right. And then in the secret pocket, draw the answer. Close the secret pocket. Got a couple more to go. Here we go. Let's draw our staff. We just drew an A. 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw my clef sign. Next note must be a B. If I just did A, and B is right on that middle line, circling the middle line. Make sure it looks like the line's going right through the note. And then, ta-da, put the answer in the pocket. Close it up. 1 more to go, and then you'll have all the notes of the first scale that most people learn on piano, a C major scale. So let's draw our 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with a treble clef. And if I just did a B on the middle line, then the C is the next space up. There it is. And I draw the answer in the secret pocket. And now you've done all the writing you need to do. So let's figure out how we play with this thing. Okay, ready? I'm going to close it all up, fold it over, and then I'm going to grab it by the corners so I can see that open top, push it together. It's going to feel kind of stiff the first time you use it, but as you use it, it gets more flexible. Open the tab, open another tab, hold those first 2, open another tab, open your last tab. And now, here is how you play, my friends. You and a friend play together. Maybe you have a friend who can play. Maybe your mom or dad can play. Grandma, grandpa can try to play with the dog, but probably is not going to play very well with you. So we pick a word. I'm choosing piano. And we spell it together. And we work the fortune teller at the same time. We go P-I-A-N-O. And then whoever you're playing with has to choose one of these. Let's say that your partner chooses this one. Well, then you have to say, well, how many beats is that? That is a 4-beat note. So we're going to count together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wow. Now we pick another tab, but this time we do something different. So we're going to pick this tab and you open up. There we go. Now they picked this one. So you point to the note and you say, what note is that? And the person says, oh boy, that looks like a C. And you say, what kind of C is it? Because you are a very particular game player. And they say, oh, that's middle C. And then you check, ta-da! And they have the correct answer. So in that fashion, you can be practicing reading your notes, reading your rhythms, and spelling all of the key things that go with your instrument. Be sure to show your parents and your teacher how you do it, and happy practicing.